the XS Noize Podcast with Mark Millar.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 45 of the XS Noize Music Podcast. Thanks for downloading. I'm your host, my name is Mark Millar, and this week my guest is Northern Irish artist Conchúr White. If you missed last week's episode, Lee Campbell talked to Lone Lady about her third album, Former Things. So check it out, and if you like the podcast, it would be amazing if you subscribed and shared with your friends. If you want up-to-date music news, album reviews and interviews, then check out our main website at xsnoize.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Here's XS Noize writer Dan Lynch with some highlights of what's on the website this week.
The review section is packed out this week with releases from John Grant, Crowded House and Killers guitarist David Kuning. Randall Radich gives Kuning's second solo album an 8 out of 10 score, saying it's a marvellous listening experience with potent guitar riffs, 80s synth pop and mellow alt-rock. Boy from Michigan is the latest album from John Grant. David McElroy writes that the fascinating Grant impressively hits the spot and goes even further than usual with intensely personal lyrics, and it's those that really make Boy from Michigan stand out. Crowded House return after 11 years with Dreamers Are Waiting. Led by Neil Flynn, the band has had a changing lineup and the album's release was delayed, but Laurie Gava says it's worth the wait, giving it a 9 out of 10 score. Read them for yourself at xsnoize.com.
Northern Irish artist Conchúr White has released his stunning new Dreamers EP. I sat down with Conchúr to talk about the new EP, his songwriting process, playing live and much more. So sit back, relax and enjoy the XS Noize Music Podcast with Conchúr White. Thanks for taking the time again to do this. Much appreciated. Really enjoying the EP. And when did you start to develop your love for music?
I started really getting into music when I was about 15, 14, 15. And I'd always kind of had an interest in it. I liked Foo Fighters and kind of like Red Hot Chili Peppers and In Passing and Oasis, but I really got into Nirvana. I was kind of friends with this guy who was in a different class from me, but with a mutual friend, and he played guitar and he was super into music, and they gave me a land of like Nirvana. I think it was Nevermind. He used to burn me all these discs, and I think he was excited the fact that I was excited about it, and then him and I became friends and bonded over that. And he kind of taught me how to play guitar, and then we started a kind of band with kids. So I don't know, I was just totally consumed by that Seattle scene, from I was about 15, 16. Not really, don't know what, I can't tell you why it affected me so much, but just really loved it.
Yeah, Nevermind seemed to affect everyone. It's one of those classic albums of the 90s. Like, so there's that, and there's definitely maybe, the two probably best albums of the 90s, just affected everyone.
Absolutely. And both of those albums had an effect on me. And even it shows their reach because, Nevermind is 92. So it's probably like 15 years, since it, after being released that I found it, and it's still, just had such a poignant effect on me. Definitely maybe as well. Just two great rock albums, very different, but, in that world.
Your previous band, Silences, split in 2019. What made you decide to branch out on your own when the band folded?
Well, it was a band I would have written all the songs. So it was more like I would come with the songs and then the guys would develop it and they would add their parts and their parts would always be really good. But it was like, I think it's fair to say they'd all agree, apart from one of the guys in the band, I think I probably took it more seriously than everyone else. I think I always knew that it would be with them or by myself, that it would be something that I would continue going with. And it's subsequently turned out that 3 of the 5 of them don't play music anymore, so it's, and the other guy who was left, Chris, he plays with me now, he plays part of my live band. So And yeah, it's just all, there was never, when the band split up, it was never like a question of whether I would keep doing it. It was just a question of how I would do it, you know. So
it just came naturally evolving into a solo artist. You know, you didn't feel nervous initially doing it by yourself?
No, I didn't. That's one thing. Like, I definitely don't feel nervous doing it. I'm not afraid to release music. I'm not afraid to put myself out there. I've no fear of it. You know, it's like I enjoy doing it. It's something I want to do. So it was never an anxious thing at all. No.
What was the first song you wrote and you thought, right, this is a really good song?
Do you mean ever, or do you mean for this project, for myself now?
The first song you ever wrote and you thought, this isn't bad. It's like when Noel Gallagher says when he wrote Live Forever, you know, he knew so much about music, he knew that this is a good song. Like, so
fair to say, I wrote plenty of bad ones before I wrote a really good one. And I don't even know if it was really good. But on Noel Gallagher, he talks about, like, sometimes you feel like these songs that you write have been waiting for you just to pluck them out of the sky. And I really, like, it's something in that, you know, it's probably not factually accurate, but I feel like that was some songs, like that song was going to be written by somebody, you know. And I think the first song I ever wrote that I thought, wow, like, this is different. This is a bit more to this. It was a song called All These Crimes. And we recorded silences were released it, and we recorded a live version with other voices, but we never actually did a studio version. I remember writing that song. God, that's like 10 years ago now. And yeah, I remember I was just going into university, and it was kind of the summer in between. I just really remember it, and it just stands out. And that was the first song I thought, okay, this is just a teenage heartbreak. So is there something a bit more to this? So yeah.
And do your songs come to you fully formed, or do you have to work at them?
Again, it's so funny. Like Noel Gallagher, like I'm going to quote him again. It's probably because I watched an interview with him recently, but I believe that the songs that you write, there's like songs that I've written in like 5 minutes, and they're the songs that you can actually, when you release them, people really gravitate towards them. It's really strange, maybe because they are so easy to write. They're so natural. There's nothing disingenuous about them, or it's just so, like, authentic. The songs that take a bit longer to write, sometimes, you know, I personally think they end up being better songs, but there is this thing about maybe the ones that come quick are the ones that resonate with people better, you know.
Yeah, Noel describes it as going fishing.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And it can just come, you know. And if you could be sitting there for 3 days waiting, nothing comes, and then, you know, you're there for 2 minutes and something comes. So it's like there is a sort of it sounds a bit cheesy, but there is a sort of magic to it, you know. Like, I definitely believe that there's just this there's just something that happens when it clicks, and one day it means you can write a song, and the next day you can't, and it's like just so it's hard to describe exactly what that is, but there is a sort of like magic to it, I guess.
Absolutely. And you've just released the Dreamers EP, which I've been really enjoying. Did you go into the recording with an idea what kind of songs you wanted to write and what sound you wanted to achieve?
No, to be honest with you, they were 4 songs that I just written over the course of probably 2 years, and they were all vastly different, musically vastly different. My management were chatting to me, but you should probably like to release a second EP. We like these 4 songs together. How do you feel? And I listened to them back, and I was really struggling in my head, to make them work together, because to me, I couldn't find like a thread of like consistency. But like, after thinking about it some more, I ended up finding something that really does link them. And it's like I've talked about it before. It's like that idea of like acceptance, and acceptance, and then like in the sense that, like, in relation to, I don't know, when things are out of your control, you know, like acceptance of like allowing things to be out of your control, and acceptance of just those things that you try to resist that you can't avoid. So, like, for Go Easy, for example, it's acceptance of there's, you know, getting too heavy. It's about the death of a family member, kind of accepting that. Killing us is about accepting that like what has happened and can't be changed. And what ties that really nicely together is I record my grandfather. He was quite old when he had my mum, and he was 106 when he died. And he lived with my mum towards the end of his life, and I had I knew he was losing his voice, and I recorded him one day. Wasn't thinking of anything. It was other than just it would be nice for my mum to have this recording of Granda before his voice went, and he recited a piece by an Iranian poet, and it's called "The Moving Finger." And I never heard him recite this, and I never actually heard the poem before. And it's not really a poem; it's kind of like a verse, but it's the moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, and all your piety nor wit can lure back, cancel half a line. And essentially, like that's the idea of just accepting that the past is the past, nothing you can do can change that. And I ended up putting that in the song. And so a long way of telling you, there is a thread and there is something consistent in it, but it was never my intention, to put these sort of 4 songs together.
Would that be the song on the EP that has the most meaning to you?
I think it's probably the one if I listen back, it's probably the one that would like hit me the most, because, and it was actually, it's funny, Mark, like that's actually a song that wasn't easily written. It took a long time to write, and it's weird. I don't know if people think about this, but when I'm listening to an artist, it's impossible to tell what songs came easy and which songs came hard. But that did come hard. But the thing that was really came really quickly and naturally and organically was the inclusion of the recording from Magranda. That was like the one thing that came just out of the blue. But it was a hard song to write.
And was it hard because you had to try and fit the rest of the song around that recording?
No, what was hard was there was a section missing in the song, and I could not get words for it, and everything it put together seemed contrived. And it was hard in the sense that it took me about 3 months, and by pure chance, the recording of my Granda speaking came on my iTunes one night, and I was like, oh wow, this is actually the perfect thing to put into that section that I haven't been able to fill out. So that's why it was hard, because I was trying to fit these things in that wouldn't, and then just out of the blue, like Noel says, I wasn't even fishing. I had the line in the water by accident, and it came.
Brilliant. Is there a particular subject or theme that you would like to write about that you haven't got around to yet?
Yeah, there probably is. There's things like I would like write about and tackle, but I do find that hard. If I go into a song trying to write about something, for me, just what comes first is the melody and the feeling of the music, and then something will come into my mind. If I turn around and say I'm going to write about, I don't know, fishing, it's really hard for me to write a song about that. So, but I guess if you're saying to me like, is there something I would like to write about? I think I do think I would like to write about kind of probably like where I'm from more, and the things like that we all experience from being from Northern Ireland together. Because I think it's always we're always kind of opposed from each other or whatever, and that's kind of the way like people set the parameters. But in the history that we've had together, all the people together, and tragic history in Northern Ireland, we've so much in common. We've kind of created our own unique thing together, our own unique humor, our own unique stories. And I would like to kind of write about that more, like celebrate that a bit more. I think that's probably something that I would like to look up. Yeah,
that would be a great idea. And do you think about that like as in a concept of an album or an EP or just a song?
Well, there's a lot of history there, so it could be an album, it could be 2 albums. I would probably say just initially a song anyway, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Is there a songwriter you admire who you would like to collaborate with?
I've been doing a lot of, I have been writing for other artists, and pitching for artists that are very well established, and I've really enjoyed that. Like I've enjoyed writing for, I can't say like who I'm writing for, but I've enjoyed that process. It's quite liberating. It's you know, it's really fun. It's so different than writing for yourself, and you're not conscious of anything. Not that I am overly, but there's certain things I wouldn't write, or wouldn't, words I would use. And then when you're writing for someone else, you're like, oh, I could see them using this. So I like that idea. Whether there's someone I really want to write with, I don't know. I did write. There's a guy I actually have written with who I'd wanted to write with for a long time, and his name is Ian Archer. And I don't know if you know Ian, but
Ian. I know Ian. Snow Patrol. He's written for a lot of people. Yeah,
and such a great writer, and I wanted to do that for a long time. And getting into a room and writing with him was, I can't tell you like how inspiring that was. So I kind of came at a point where I was really struggling to write, and seeing like the joy that he gets from it, and how much he still loves it, and like it's totally not about trying to write great songs. It's just about trying to enjoy it for him, and that was really inspiring. So he was somebody that I really wanted to try to write with, and haven't done it. Really, I feel a lot better for the experience.
Can you explain sort of a wee bit what the process would be like, sort of collaborating with him? What do you come up with a chord or lyrics, or is he?
Well, for him, I kind of bow to him on how we went about that process that day, because he's a much more experienced at it than me, and for him, he likes coming something organically in the room. So he likes, whether it's me or him, we play something and we kind of like work it out together. Now, I've written with artists who, like to have something, an idea before they go into the room, and then you do it. And then I think you find also with Ian and I, it was quite 50-50 in terms of the lyrics and the music. We just collaborated on both those elements together. But you find sometimes you might be with an artist who is more inclined to write words, and then you take care of the music, or an artist who's more about the melody and you take care of the words. So totally differs depending on the individual.
And what do you think is more important, a good melody or a good lyric?
This is going to sound like really, can I say a bad word?
Go ahead.
It's going to sound like, right, but like people might be going, that's such bullshit, it's cheesy or whatever, right? But like I actually don't, but like I personally don't get value, not that I don't get value. If I see like a collection of words written down, and if I just see them written down, sometimes they don't jump out to me, or sometimes they don't like hit me in the way they're supposed to. And if I hear a melody and it's just gibberish, it doesn't hit me the way it's supposed to. It might be really catchy. It might, if I just hear a melody, sometimes it just doesn't hit me. But if I hear words with a melody and it's just like the perfect mix, then it's so significant. And you think of like all the great songs you've ever heard of, like your favorite songs, think about like the chorus or, the refrain. Is that necessarily is it a great lyric, or is it a great melody, or is it the combination of the two that make it so brilliant? And that to me is, that's the trick. Like that's the really hard bit in finding a song that's universally and I'm still trying to find that is universally undeniable. And there's, times are changing by, Bob Dylan to Hallelujah to, just Feeling Good by Nina Simone. Whatever the song is, it's a combination of those two things that make that so undeniable, I think.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned Hallelujah. It's been covered quite a lot. So which interpretation do you like? The Jeff Buckley version, in my opinion, is the best, or do you prefer the Leonard Cohen original?
I totally agree with you. I prefer, and I really I'm a big Leonard Cohen fan, but prefer the Jeff Buckley version. And I think again, it's like kind of down to the delivery of it and the way he sings the melody, and that to me makes that, I don't even think of that song as a Leonard Cohen song in a way. I just whatever Jeff Buckley was able in that cover, I think, to just, I don't know, bring the melody and the combination of that with the words. I feel like, and people might disagree, certain songs by Leonard Cohen that, Famous Blue Raincoat, the way he sings that and the words together, like that's to me is like just a brilliant song. So Long Mariana could mean loads, but whatever way definitely deliver that song, just think it's like that's the version for me.
Yeah, I agree. He completely made it his own. Or you could have the Alexandra Burke X Factor version.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not without its merits.
Your tour starts in September in Birmingham with Margaret Glaspie, and then Villagers in October. Are you looking forward to actually playing out in front of a live audience again?
Yeah, I am. Big time, man. It's become like abundantly clear that, if you had asked me before lockdown, what's your favorite part of doing this, I really would have been stuck for an answer. I wouldn't have known. And I think having not played for so long, it's that feeling, that the interaction between people in a room, like that's what it's performing and that I really miss. So yeah, I can't wait to do that.
And how do you feel when you step on stage? What goes through your head when you're just about to step on stage?
Just before I step on stage, I probably just think of something really boring, like what I'm going to play first from the set list. But when I actually am playing, in the middle of it, I don't think of anything. Like, I don't think it's like the only time really in my life, like I notice that I am present, and people do meditation and people, do like, try to train, yoga or whatever it is for you. It's like a thing, there's a presence you get from those things, I imagine. But that for me is like the only time I'm not thinking about like what I'm going to be doing tomorrow or in 10 years, or I'm not thinking about something I've done. I'm just in it, I'm just present. So that's what I think. I don't think of anything, which is brilliant. Yeah.
It's when you start thinking about doing the washing or if I left the iron on and stuff like that. That's
my problem is I don't ever think about that. I probably should do it more.
Do you think there's a healthy music scene in Northern Ireland now?
Yeah, I think there's always been, like from my experience of it. I think it's always been. I think there's a musician for everyone. Whatever sort of music you're into, there's this, there's a band for it, and it's I don't know what it is though. Like, and I think if you asked a lot of musicians from the north, there's definitely a disconnect between the musicians, people going to gigs, and I don't know what it is. Like, I think in Dublin, for example, I think there's a lot of support for artists, Dublin-based artists or artists, that kind of come from the area and the city want to get behind. No, I'm not saying Belfast don't. I'm not saying Northern Ireland doesn't, but I definitely feel that there is something there that we just are not connected to the artists, up and coming artists at times. And, I could give you countless examples of, acts that are are kind of presented as the next big thing. And they've got millions of plays and Spotify and on Radio 1, for whatever reason, just does not translate to gigs. I'm hoping that'll, I'm hoping that might change after all of this. People will be down to go to gigs again. But I think for having so many brilliant artists in the north, just hope that we would get more people to get out and support them, because inevitably live is still the best way for people to make money.
I've spoken to local artists, and one thing they always say to me is they find it hard to get gigs, and they also find it hard to get played on local radio. Do you find that?
Yeah, definitely at the start. Definitely at the start. It's because it's there's no clear path. It's not like there are people. There's people like Output, like some Mark Gordon, and there's really good resources out there. Like, well, people that are willing to help you and show you how to go about this. But there isn't really like a plan. There isn't really like a here's a list of things that you have to do. You have to work a lot of it by yourself, and that is hard for a new band that are coming up and like, who do I even go to get a gig? Do I email the venue? Do you email the show promoter? Are you allowed to email people? It's like there's a lot of it can be hard. But like, my advice, I don't, at the minute I'm fortunate because with management and if a booking agent, like that helps they look after that side. But like if I was giving advice to somebody, you know, who's starting off, it would probably be to look out for the likes of Output Festival that happens every year and attend those workshops and help musicians. I think that's one thing about the North and Ireland in general. People are willing to help. People want to give you advice. People want to help you out. So just don't be afraid to shout and ask for it, because it can be very daunting.
What local bands or artists are you into?
God, fear of missing somebody. Well, I think a friends like Kieran Lavery would be somebody I've known for a long time, and I think they're probably they've been established. I guess they're established artists in their own right. So if you're saying like new kind of up and coming bands, there's one band from Lurgan. They're called Dr. Suit, and they're 5 of the most talented individuals I've ever met. I said it to them, and or I've been offering them advice. It's like they'll go as far as they want to go. They're just undeniable. I'd recommend anyone to check them out. They've got a live version of a song that they have called Fundo. You'll find it on YouTube, and super exciting. Just an amazing band, and they've got everything, really do. And there's loads. I'm working with a couple. We get Jack Devlin. He's an exciting young songwriter. Saya Fox. There are. I could go on. I can name. I rarely hear something from the North that I go, that is crap. That's usually very good.
Good. I must check them out. I like to ask my guests the following questions, Connor. Out of all the music in your collection, which artist or band do you have the most albums by?
God, it's probably a tie. It's a tie between Death Cab for Cutie and it's not even. I was going to say it's a tie between Death Cab for Cutie and Villagers, funny enough. Death Cab have released more albums. Probably Death Cab.
Well, if you're a fan of Villagers, how does it feel that you're going to be supporting them?
Yeah, it's mad. That's just I've told a few people that. I think it's quite, because Villagers are a big band, but they're not they're not Nirvana big, obviously, and people ask me who were your big influences growing up. Villagers were, they really were. I love to perform. One of the best gigs I've ever seen was theirs. And I've seen them a load of times now, but the first time I ever seen them just inspired me totally. And they ended up, the same management things now. So it's kind of like that serendipitous sort of thing where, ended up in the same world.
Which song or album is your guilty pleasure?
I have none. I have to be honest. I have no guilty pleasures.
You have to now.
No, I'm complete now. What would I say?
Everyone has answered this question, no matter who they are.
Do you know what? I don't like. Maybe I do feel a bit guilty about it. I shouldn't. Fall Out Boy. I think when I was my girlfriend, we've been going out a while now. But whatever Fall Out Boy just haven't come up in conversation for the 3 years or 4 years we've been going out, and it came on the playlist one day, and I was singing along. She was absolutely shocked at the fact that I knew so many words. She was almost horrified. So yeah, probably Fall Out Boy.
So you could maybe drop that in the set, maybe one of these days.
Sugar, We're Going Down for an encore.
What have you been listening to recently that you could recommend to anyone listening?
I've been listening to a lot of individual songs. I think I'm kind of like that anyway. It's very I'm not a. I do enjoy albums. Don't get me wrong, but albums probably it's probably a lot of individual songs. And if I really love one song, I'll go for an album. But the song, there's a couple of songs at the minute. There's a song called Chinatown by Bleachers. The band are called Bleachers, and Bruce Springsteen sings on it. I'm not a super huge Springsteen fan. I like him, but it's amazing song, Chinatown, and Big Thief. I'm a fan of Big Thief, so any of their albums I would recommend.
And what about you? Do you have plans to put out an album in the future?
I hope so. I hope so. like I'm going in to record the guts of an album over July, and I've got a lot of stuff recorded. So it's really more a case of when, not if I'll do it. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe next year. Who knows?
I look forward to hearing it, and hopefully potentially down the line this Northern Ireland sort of themed project would be amazing.
Who knows? I'll have to get you on board. Help me with the lyrics. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want me to do background vocals or anything like that,
sure.
Well, Connor, that's my questions finished. I really enjoyed it. It's good talking to you.
Yeah, you too, Mark. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I wish you all the best with EP. As I say, it's great. Really enjoying it, and I look forward to what's down the line and seeing you live.
I'll be playing Voodoo on December 18th. So you can get your tickets for that now.
I will be there. All right, mate.
Man. Thanks so much.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The XS Noize Podcast with Mark Millar.